Work is teamwork, and that makes teamwork a top-tier skill for just about everyone. Hey leader, David Burkus here, organizational psychologist and author of 5 best-selling books on helping leaders and teams do their best work ever. Yes, if you are a regular part of this community, you'll recognize that's the first time I've said 5. New book, Best Team Ever, The Surprising Science of High-Performing Teams. Out now, link in the description on how you can get your hands on a copy of that. Look, work is teamwork. Teams are how work gets done. In a knowledge work economy, up to 85% of your work week is going to be spent collaborating with other teams, whether that's the team of people that report to your direct manager or to the project teams of various different projects that you're serving on. And that makes collaboration and teamwork a top-tier skill for just about anybody who's looking to do their best work ever, looking to grow their career, looking to become a leader or become a better leader. So in this episode, we're gonna talk about the 3 keys to effective teamwork, the 3 things that really make for high levels of collaboration and that ensure the difference between a team that falls apart and a team that thrives. Let's get started. So the first key to good teamwork is clarity. Clarity here meaning clarity of tasks, clarity of roles and responsibilities, and clarity of each other to some degree. And this one makes perfect sense. People need to know what's expected of them. They need to know what tasks have been assigned to them, but they also need to know what tasks have been assigned to others on the project or others working on that team. And they need to have some level of reliability, and they need to have some level of dependability on each other as well. So when we say clarity here, we mean that we know what everyone's assigned tasks are, but also we know what each other's knowledge, skills, and abilities are. We know who is the subject matter expert in what area of this project, so we know who to go to for help. And we understand how that set of knowledge, skills, and abilities parlays into the tasks that are assigned. Now, there's a number of ways that we ensure clarity on a team. If you're working with an organization that uses things like OKRs, for example, those objectives, those key responsibilities, all of that sets the clarity for the team. You know what the long-term picture is, and then hopefully you've got some performance indicators and even some day-by-day and week-by-week metrics that you can use to track how we are progressing towards that. But if you're not using an OKR system, or really even if you are, what you need is not only a tool that people can look at to know what's expected of them, right, but also a tool that gets the team together to what I sometimes call work out loud, so that everybody is kept up to date on what everybody else is working on as well. And my favorite tool for that is the huddle. The huddle, or in Agile, it's often called the scrum or the daily stand-up. It's a regular quick meeting, although it doesn't have to be a meeting, more on that in a second. It's a regular quick meeting where people get together and share that kind of status update with each other. This isn't one of those death by meetings where we're constantly talking about all sorts of stuff and one person is just constantly droning on, but making their questions in-tone up at the end, so it seems like a question, but it's actually just a statement. This is a flash meeting. This is a quick meeting. In the world of Agile, the Scrum is a meeting where people answer 3 questions. What did I just complete? What am I focused on next? And what's blocking my progress? And over the last few years, I've worked with teams that take that idea and even move the meeting to something that's asynchronous, just a weekly email that you send out first thing at the beginning of the week with what did I complete last week? What am I focused on this week? And what's blocking my progress or where I need help? I've even seen teams do this in a Google Doc that you just update every single week to track it. Whatever tool works for your team is what works for your team, and that's great. The point is that everybody should be in the loop on what everybody else is doing. Yeah, you need clarity of your own tasks in order to do a great job, but you need clarity of the tasks and knowledge and skills and abilities of everybody else in the team to make for good teamwork. The second key to good teamwork is empathy. And if clarity is about understanding the tasks, empathy is about understanding each other on a more personal level. We need clarity on what's assigned to people and what their knowledge, skills, and abilities are, but we need empathy because we need understanding about their personality differences, understanding of their work preferences, understanding where their strengths and weaknesses are, so we can anticipate where they might need help, and also so that we can collaborate a bit better. I like to use, when I'm working with clients, when I'm giving speeches, I like to use the example of simple 5 decades old tool like email. Right? We're not even talking about the intricacies of personality differences here. Let's just talk about the preferences around email. Some people like to write long, drawn-out emails where they're processing their ideas as they're writing, and then other people like to write 2-sentence emails with their thumbs. And we need to know on the team who is who. We need to know what to expect of other people. We need to know that that person that's writing the long emails, they're doing that because they're using that to think critically. They're using that to map out their own ideas. But that person also needs to know that the quick writers are doing that because they would rather map out their ideas in conversation. They'd rather call you or have a quick Zoom or sync up with you at the office and hash everything out in person. Different preferences for different people. And there's no right answer. There's a variety of different ways that you can build empathy on a team, but my favorite is what I often call a team charter, or a frequently unasked questions document, or rules of the road or norms document. I use a bunch of different terms for it. But the idea here is that you call a meeting with the team as a leader and you flush out questions that have been unanswered. You ask questions that get at people's taken for granted assumptions about how we're supposed to work. So this is small questions like, what's a reasonable amount of time to wait for an email response, right, before we call someone or before we float it to the top of their inbox? But it could also be bigger questions like, what are the only valid reasons for calling meetings? How do we want to run our meetings? How do we want to give each other feedback? Those deeper, more personal, and also probably take more time to discuss type of questions. And in drafting a team charter, you go question by question and you arrive at some norms, some rules of the road for the team. And these are not going to be permanent. What you do at the end when you have all of these answers is you say, great, let's revisit this in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. But for now, we all agree to abide by these rules of the road. And then we revisit them, and we might have to revise them based on whether or not people even followed them or how well they worked. The point isn't actually the document or the rules at all. The point is that drafting the document forces the conversation about differences, forces the conversation about preferences, and that forces people to empathize with each other and understand that my way of doing things is not the right way, it's just my way, and it works best if it fits in with your way and your way and your way. And that will grow some great empathy on the team that will enhance collaboration. The third key to good teamwork, and really this possibly should have been the first key, is safety, as in psychological safety. If you're a regular part of this community, you know we talk a ton about the importance of psychological safety on a team. We talk about the work of Amy Edmondson, and we talk about Google's Project Aristotle, which found that the thing that really made the difference, among a couple other variables, but the biggest variable that made the difference in good teams versus mediocre performing teams was psychological safety. How much people felt like they could express themselves and take risks, how much people felt like they could speak up when they disagree, how much people felt like they could admit failures. And this makes perfect sense, because if you can't admit your failures on a team, if you're trying to hide any of your failures or deflect blame when a project falls apart, no one on the team is learning. Right? No one on the team is figuring out what systems we can put in place in the future to reduce our failure rate. But it also means we're depriving people of our great ideas. If no one on a team feels safe to share their crazy ideas, if they're self-censoring, then we're not getting the diversity of ideas that we actually need on a team. And so the team isn't coming up with better solutions. That's why this is so crucial to good teamwork. And psychological safety takes time to build. There's no quick hack like huddles or like a team charter to build psychological safety. It takes a kind of a constant cycle of you being willing to be vulnerable and admit mistakes and also share those learnings, and you being willing to delay judgment when people share ideas. So you're teaching the team how to respond with respect when people share those sort of crazy ideas. It's going to take time to build psychological safety. But as a leader, here's a quick way that you could probably kick off that cycle. Send an email out to everybody on your team with just 2 sentences in it. Hey, I'm thinking about how we can perform better as a team, how I can perform better as a leader. Those aren't the 2 sentences, these are the 2 sentences. So I'd love for you to answer 2 questions. What's something I do really well that you want to make sure I could do more of? And what's something I do that really annoys you that you wish I would stop doing? Now, you're gonna get feedback from your whole team, so you can't promise you'll immediately stop doing it, but you can promise you'll take it into consideration, put all the answers together, and you're gonna do the best you can to grow as a leader. The point isn't actually what people say. I mean, it is, because if you take the advice of what people say, you'll be a better leader, but the point is that you're demonstrating openness to feedback and vulnerability and an admission that you have mistakes, and that'll encourage your people to do the same. And when they do, as long as you don't berate them or ridicule them or overemphasize their failures, they're gonna learn to trust you more. And they're gonna learn to trust each other more, and that's gonna raise the level of psychological safety on the team. And when you raise the level of psychological safety on the team, you'll find that you raise the level of empathy on the team. You may even raise the level of clarity on the team, because people are gonna be more willing to share what they're failing at and give you a true status update when you run those huddles. So when you raise safety on the team, you raise the other two great elements of a team as well: clarity, empathy, and safety. These are three keys to good teamwork. They're three keys to helping teams collaborate better and helping individuals on those teams do their best work ever. Oh, and one more thing. Okay, yeah, I'm obviously a big fan of psychological safety, and I hope you are too. And if that's something that you feel like you need to grow on your team, you're gonna wanna check out this video here on what makes a psychologically safe team. It doesn't just outline more of the research around psychological safety, it shows you how to get started even more growing that level of safety on your team, and hopefully growing the level of performance on your team as a result.